Hello, welcome to Local Anesthetic Podcast, your regular injection of mind-numbing local news. This is episode 349. Rob and I are recording slightly out of schedule on a Sunday right now. A bright Sunday morning where I am. I don't know about what it's like where Rob is, but both of us, well, Rob slightly depleted, me kind of on the floor depleted. Before we get into all that, hello Rob, how are you?
Hello. I'm recovering. Listeners, I'm aware this episode is slightly late. The reason being is because I thought it would be lovely. So the weekend after, before last, I decided to venture into London. So Lyra going to the Christmas lights, which turns out was a foolhardy endeavour. And she's managed to pick a viral infection, and also they're now giving it to both Sarah and I. So we've had a week-long, basically infectious household, which has resulted in the fact that Lyra isn't sleeping during the night, so we haven't had time to recuperate. And so all three of us are just, well, we're not great, Alex, but I feel that compared to what you've been through, I really shouldn't be complaining.
Now, you're allowed to complain, Rob. It's fine to feel shit. But yes, my situation is slightly different, listeners. I mean, we've never talked about it on the podcast before, but I think it was about 8 years ago, probably roughly when we started this podcast, actually, mate.
Yeah.
No correlation. I developed this sort of visual problem, let's call it that, with my eyes. And it was sort of, I had a couple of years of really horrendous time with it. And over the last 4 to 5 years, everything was stable. And then more recently, I got another episode of it, and it's been really pronounced. I was at an emergency eye hospital earlier this week, so that was fun. I'm currently wearing an eye patch full time, and probably will be for the next few months while hopefully this recovers. So it's not great, it's not fun, and it makes doing this podcast a lot more difficult. And for that reason, because I've never had to really do the podcast with it like this before, Rob is going to be reading out the stories. You know, we've both found the stories, but Rob's going to be reading them out just so I'm not having to try and read so much with one eye, because we hope you can forgive us for that. It will change the dynamic a bit, Rob, but it will allow me just to, interrupt you that much more, chip in a bit more, so the listeners will enjoy that, I'm sure.
Very true. Now, listeners, look, I'll be the first to admit I'm not the best at sight reading. Also, you're going to have to congest. That was a slip of the tongue. You're going to have to contest really with my slightly congested, nasally voice at the moment. So enjoy that.
But Rob, this is the dedication of us here as podcasters. Yes. I'm here with one eye currently. You're here after recovering from a horrible virus, and yet here we are recording. Not least, Rob, not only are we doing this, the free episode, but of course we do have contractual obligations to to produce the Patreon episodes, because people pay for those. If you want the extra bonus content, go to patreon.com/LAPodcast extra for all our extra bonus episodes that you can get to your inbox every month. But we've got to do those, Rob, so there's really no choice. I could be in hospital right now, Rob, dying, and you'd have to turn up with a mic and say, right, Alex, we've got the Patreon episodes, we've got people expecting these, record.
I mean, Alex, I think if it came to that, I would just do some really poor imitation of you. Which, to be fair, if I did that, it really would cut out the middleman.
It would. And for any long-time listeners to this podcast, they will remember phases, Rob, where there were a couple of times where maybe due to illness or circumstances, one of us had to record the podcast on our own. I've recorded some episodes on my own before, and you have as well. And, they'd be fun to dig out the archives, collector's pieces, really, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'm sure the listeners will tell us, but I don't think they were that bad. Actually, I seem to remember. I quite enjoyed doing them. No, not that I don't enjoy this podcast. I'm just saying, as an experiment, they were, that they were enjoyable.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Okay,
Alex,
Rob,
let's crack on, because we have got news. So,
okay, what's the news?
Well, the first piece I have been mulling over because. Basically, it really struck me because, this is a matter that I've considered to be dead and buried for a long, long time. And, I mean...
The Croydon cat killer?
No, not the Croydon cat killer.
You dressing up as a honey monster?
As I said, there were some legal issues regarding this. And we've had a comment from a listener because if you remember, we obviously... during the Halloween episode, a listener very kindly submitted some fan fiction, which is obviously Kyber, which was superb, and we very much enjoyed it. But he writes, So thanks to Al for reading out my spooky story on the Halloween episode. Years later, questions still surround the whole episode tragedy. I mean, calling it a tragedy is probably a bit, overblown, but fine.
Oh, so he's not referencing you dressing up as a honey monster. We're referencing now that there was a period of time in this podcast where I used to, when we would sign off, so for anybody who doesn't know, when we would sign off and say goodbye, I would pretend to be the episode itself, which is obviously very meta, and I would imitate what I thought the episode sounded like and say goodbye to you, which over time we realised was causing you quite significant psychological distress, and we stopped doing it. By court injunction.
Alex, there's 2 points here. First of all, he does go on to mention the honey monster, but he asked the question, was the killer ever identified, and is the case ongoing? All I can say, Kyber, is, look, I'm very litigious around this particular matter, so if you have any more questions, come at me.
He really is.
So in answer to your question, you're not going to find out, and it's subject to an NDA. Furthermore, he goes on, after speaking with Mr. Stewart, obviously Steve, and seeking a fellow ride, and after seeing a fellow riding a bike wearing a honey monster costume, oh, Kyber, I wish you'd taken a picture of that, over the Halloween weekend, is there a market for LA fanfics?
I think there is, Rob, but the more burning question was the person riding a bicycle wearing the honey monster costume you, Rob?
Alex, look, again, we cannot talk about this on the podcast. I was exonerated of all crimes, but still, unfortunately, there are certain restrictions that come with that, including any serial-related mascots.
Can I say, I like the phrase serial-related mascots. Okay, yeah. Is there any other news, Rob? Thanks, Kyber. Is there any other news?
There's one. I want to do this one, and I realise this may class as a story. So, but I did send you this during the week, which on occasions I tend to read Private Eye, which I really enjoy doing, and it was one of their celebratory editions. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was either 250 or 260. I can't remember. Anyway, I found this story in there.
Sorry, Private Eye must have been running for longer than 260 editions.
Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember what it was. I've got this. It's still downstairs somewhere, but I should have probably looked it up. Really.
Yeah, I mean, Private Eye's been there since I was a kid. No, I mean, otherwise you're telling me we have more LA podcast episodes than they have editions of Private Eye. I find that hard to believe, Rob.
Yeah,
maybe you can clarify that next episode.
Yeah, I'll try and do that. Apologies, Private Eye. I should have looked that up. But I happened to see this fantastic article which covered the Devon Live. And I think this really is a celebration of local news. This is local journalism at its best, Alex.
And you sent this to me. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, and I felt the listeners deserve to hear it. So the article is just entitled Plymouth Ho Ho Ho. Unfortunately, as is often the case with Private Eye, they don't have a journalist listed. But the article reads, every year, pandemics permitting, Exeter Cathedral hosts the legal service of Devon, given thanks to those involved in the justice system across the country. It is preceded by a procession through the city by judges, barristers, solicitors, and the Lord Mayor and the Lord Lieutenant, plus a number of other local dignitaries, all dressed in formal regalia.
Not honey monster costumes.
There's no mention of that, no.
Right.
So afterwards, they troop back, still in their finery, to a reception this year hosted at Exeter Castle. Quite a spectacle for the local press to feature, you might think, and you will be correct. As Devon Live, the cross-county news website run by the news giant Reach PLC. Now, Reach PLC run basically the majority of local news in the UK. So anything that's got a live at the end of it, and some of the bigger titles like the Manchester Evening News, they are all owned by Reach PLC.
They're like the mafia.
Basically, yeah, of local news.
I retract that.
I'm pretty sure they will be litigious as well.
And they'll send a heavy now to intimidate me.
Well, I mean, say heavy, it'll probably just be like, like a junior reporter or something like that, who would probably write a badly written story about you. Is that litigious? Or anyway, so as Devon Live, the cross-county news website run by Reach PLC, observed on the 12th of October, a photo sent to Devon Live shows a number of people walking down the street wearing what appears to be legal attire. Some individuals have been spotted in what look like judges' wigs and robes.
God.
The report by a young journalist who lists her specialities as LGBT plus history, food and drink, leisure, history and politics, and bargains at the range. Again, if anyone doesn't know, the Range is a discounted sort of shop, and is based 45 miles away in Plymouth, concluded the nature of the procession or demonstration taking place is at this time unclear, and appealed to readers to know what the demonstration is, or if they have their own photographs, to get in touch ASAP. And now the clincher. It was only at 9 p.m. that evening that the live blog, the website, had excitedly launched for the mysterious event, sheepishly admitted that among those its hacks had failed to recognise were the leader of Exeter Council, the chairman of Devon County Council, the Lord Mayor of Plymouth, the Mayor of Torbay, the Deputy Chief Constable, the Chief Fire Officer, the Chief Executive of the Probation Service, the Chief Executive of the Fire and Crime Commissioner Office, the Vice Chancellor of Plymouth University, and the Commanding Officer of the 6 Rifles, the Bishop of Exeter, the Dean of Exeter, the Bishop of Plymouth, and the High Sheriffs of Devon, Somerset, the Isle of Wight, and Wiltshire, and the Under Sheriff of Dorset and Cornwall.
And that's our episode title, Rob.
I mean,
no,
Alex,
that's obviously not. It's a bit like a local news site, isn't it? Saying, picture was sent to us of strange people wearing sort of dark jackets, carrying around wreaths on Remembrance Sunday, and not knowing what that is. It's just bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre.
I mean, Alex,
what a way to start your fledgling local journalism, news journalism career.
But also, you put your interest as history and politics. Surely. I mean, Alex, I'll be the first to admit I may not recognise the Chief Executive of the Probation Service, but I probably would recognise...
Well, you should, Rob, considering how much time you spent inside.
Well, Alex, I mean, on this occasion, Alex, I did get a personal apology from him, but that's a different matter. But I think I might recognise possibly the Bishop of Exeter, because surely the attire might be a giveaway.
Yeah, but she thought it was fancy dress, Rob. She thought it was a bizarre ritual. Yeah? Sort of
you're right.
Weird cult-like sacrifice, possibly. But, okay.
Extraordinary. Okay, let's move on to our stories for this week. So, now again, this was a story I sent to you midweek, but I'm very keen to cover it nonetheless, because it is a great little story. So it is from Sky News. It's by Megan Baines from the 8th of November. And the headline, President Joe Biden congratulates Big Bird for COVID vaccine, while Texas Senator accuses Sesame Street Muppet of propaganda. This story is quite old now, isn't it? I mean, this was about... I remember... Wasn't this about a month ago this happened? Yeah, it's about 3 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah. So we moved from the Honey Monster to Big Bird. I mean, we did feature a story, an unrelated story about Big Bird, a few episodes ago, didn't we? Or a number of episodes ago, about that Big Bird costume that was stolen. Do you remember by those guys that one of them looked like Vic Reeves? Yeah, one of them looked like Vic Reeves. And they were... An
incredible pair. Yeah, really were. But Alex, is it fair to say then that Big Bird is literally a puppet of the state?
That's good, Rob. You should have tweeted that. That's good.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, technically speaking, Big Bird isn't really a puppet. Well, I mean, officially speaking, obviously he's probably a Muppet. But I feel that the pun still stands.
What's the difference between a Muppet and a puppet?
Alex, I feel that's a debate for the other day.
I don't think there is. I think he is a puppet. There's nobody in that. Well, maybe there is somebody in the costume. Yeah, you're right.
Alex, there must be someone in Big Bird.
You know what I've always found weird on... the thing is, listeners, what you're going to have to put up with is, because Rob's reading the stories this week, we're going to probably be having me chip in and go off on flights of fancy, but that's okay. Do you know what? I loved Sesame Street, but I did find that big elephant mammoth type creature with the very sad eyes and the long eyelashes quite disturbing.
You mean Mr. Snuffleupagus?
Yeah. That's the one.
I mean, Alex, he has a name. Don't try and dehumanize him or mammothise him. Alex, I think it's important to have characters like that. I mean,
I might get cancelled over this.
Yeah, exactly. You might. You've got Big Bird, who's obviously a manic depressive, having these extreme highs, and obviously we don't, obviously off camera extreme lows. But then I think you just have someone like Mr. Snuffleupagus, who probably just suffers from anxiety.
When I was, I'm down in Dorset at the moment, listeners. I'm just staying with my parents and my sister just for a bit of TLC, just to be looked after for a bit. And when we came down here, a part of the drive involves driving through sort of nature reserve where there are these sort of wild horses. But this time there were these, not only were there wild horses, but there were wild ponies just on the side of the road. And I hadn't actually seen a pony in quite a long time. And we stopped ponies are very sad-looking creatures. I mean, Rob, they were just stood at the side of a country road. All of them, there were about 5 of them, just stood there, staring into space, motionless. They really looked very depressed.
But Alex, are you not projecting your norm, your
my own
societal
depression
norms? No, not your depression. Your societal norms onto that donkey. That donkey might be living his best life for all we know. How do you know that donkey was depressed?
I don't. I'm just saying they were literally just staring into space with nothing to do. And then I was thinking all about donkeys. And I was thinking, what do we even breed donkeys for? Are they some kind of weird horse sort of pony hybrid? Why were they bred? Why do we keep breeding them? You know, what's it for, Rob? Is it, you know, are they sex donkeys?
I mean, Alex, there's always that possibility. But then I have to ask a question: what's a pony?
A small, yeah.
Because a foal is a small horse. Yeah,
a pony isn't a small horse, Rob. A pony is its own separate breed, but they do look like kind of small horses, but they are.
Do you have that acknowledgement at times that you really don't know what something is? You've never really thought about it, but then as an adult, you think, I've just taken that for granted, but I actually have no idea how that works.
Yes, I think one of the things that's disturbed me about, you know, sort of aging is that, and I think it's a necessary realization, but that realization where whatever you learn at school, whatever you've educated yourself in, you know, literally 0.0000000 ad infinity 1 of anything, and there's shitloads of things you don't know that I often feel embarrassed where I think, well, I should know. But in order to know it all, you just have to spend, you just literally have to spend all your life just educating yourself. Like, you know, like the list of kings and queens of England, whatever it is. There's shitloads I don't know, Rob, as has been evidenced by my knowledge of geography on this podcast. In the end, Rob, I think it's just better to say, you know what, it's okay not to know all this stuff.
Alex, you make a very good point, actually. And there's often times when I go on Spotify and get overwhelmed by all the music because I just think I haven't got the time to listen to all this. Yeah.
No.
There's too
exactly.
Alex, there is too much going on at the moment. I'm overwhelmed. Alex, yes. I'm overwhelmed. I'm struggling
it's okay.
here.
It's okay to say that, Rob. Me too. And I'm sure our listeners will empathise. So maybe right now, let's just have a moment of calm, a moment of peace to de-whelm our minds.
So, American President Joe Biden has weighed in after Sesame Street's Big Bird was accused of spreading propaganda. I mean, how are we supposed to detox when I've just read that sentence? Yeah.
Well, you know.
Was accused of spreading propaganda by a Texas senator after the cartoon Muppet announced it had been vaccinated against COVID-19. It followed the US's approval of the Pfizer vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds. Writing on Twitter, the giant yellow bird, who is externally 6 years old, did not know that, said, "I got my COVID vaccine today. My wing is feeling a little sore, but it gives me my body an extra protection that keeps me and others healthy."
Now, how can Big Bird be 6 years old? Big Bird has been around since I was a child. He's older than I am.
I think you just have to use a bit of suspension of disbelief here.
What you mean? A bit like how the Simpsons never age. That kind
exactly. Yeah, you know that there's an issue there, but you just choose to ignore it. A lot like most Tory voters.
But it is, Rob. I mean, look, in reality, Rob, Charlie Brown is a 70-year-old with a very severe drug addiction by now. Living quite a bad life, still trying to recover from the endless humiliations he experienced. He's not a little boy. His dog's dead. His dog died a long time ago. Snoopy's dead. Woodstock, that's a laugh. Birds don't live that long, I don't think. Woodstock's dead. The house has been sold. The kennel bulldozed. None of it exists anymore, Rob. It's not there, apart from in our imagination.
Also, isn't it quite pathetic that both his first and last name were both, euphemism for drugs, Charlie and Brown?
Now I know about Charlie, but what Brown? What's Brown?
Brown is heroin. So
is it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Maybe it was a metaphor for
his decline into
drug addiction.
God. Oh, Jesus. However, Senator Ted Cruz, who is vaccinated and has previously said, "I believe in vaccines," responded with government propaganda for your 5-year-olds. Fuck off, Ted Cruz. Fuck yourself.
Rob, I think we can move on from. I think we can move on from this. This is all we need to know. I mean, geez, what is going on in the world when this kind of thing can happen? But never mind.
Okay, so my next story is from the Manchester Evening News. It is by Damon Wilkinson from the 16th of November. Now, this is slightly old because it relates to Remembrance Sunday, which you've already previously mentioned. But this is a great story. So, tank driven to Remembrance Sunday service smashed into War Memorial after someone forgot to put the handbrake on.
Oh, no, I didn't see this. Oh, God. Oh, no.
So, a hired
Can you imagine
tank
you get home, like, Rob, can you imagine, like, when you get home after that day to your wife? Oh, how was it? How was the ceremony? Well, I forgot to put the handbrake on and smashed into the War Memorial with the tank. But, other than that, it was okay.
I wonder if some of the spectators thought it was intentional. They just gone hyper realistic on it.
Yeah, maybe.
So a hired tank driven to a Remembrance Day service by two former soldiers smashed into a War Memorial garden after someone forgot to put the handbrake on. Local council.
Rob, can we just wait a second? My job is to intervene.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could hire a tank. This opens up a world of possibilities, Rob. We could hire a tank. Can anybody hire a tank?
I think so. I think you just need a driving license. I mean, it costs £950 a day.
Right, Rob.
But I feel that's a small price to pay.
Rob, I'm going to call you out on this now. I completely disagree that you can drive a tank if you've got a driving license. On the back of the driving license, there are pictures of all the vehicles you can drive. Tank ain't on there. Can you imagine? Tank.
I mean, no, but it wouldn't. I mean, Alex, let's be fair. How hard could it be?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, piece of piss.
Pretty hard, probably. Yeah. So yeah, you can indeed rent a tank. Not entirely sure.
Rent a tank. Sorry. I've just found it's rentatank.co.uk for anybody who's interested.
Right. Good.
Sorry. That was one of my bookmarks. Rent a wank. Sorry, that's different. Very different thing.
Right. Why would you want to rent it?
Rent a wank. It's a really good website, actually. But what happens is you put in your postcode, right, and you see people in the local area who are offering free, free wanks. Could be in an alleyway, could be around the back of Budgeons, and that's how it works. But it's a sort of, and then you can offer it back. It's really the big society, Rob, in action that David Cameron prophesized.
I personally prefer the website Lend a Hand. It's a lot more discreet. What a bleak service.
They're bitter rivals, Rob.
Yeah. But they are making money hand over fist.
Rob, you're on form. This virus is doing good for you, yeah.
So, local councillor Mark Fern and ex-mayor Andy Langdon splashed out £950 on the 8-ton scimitar for the scimitar for the stunt in Bovingdon, Cheshire. But the
Rob, wait a second again. I do not think this was like like where something appears to be like a good gesture. Like it's Remembrance Sunday, we'll hire this tank. But really this is about two guys getting really excited about being little boys again and playing tanks. Yep. Let's hire a tank. Let's turn up there in a tank. And it's all gone horribly wrong.
Especially when it's a local councillor and the ex-mayor. They've
absolutely.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They've obviously they've indulged their childhood fancy and be able to. I don't think they were driving it, as far as I know. I mean, he did. Yeah, he did. So there's the 7.8 ton machine rolled into the memorial gates, smashed into pieces after the mishap. Fern admitted he caused the accident, and the debacle left him feeling a little bit embarrassed, to say the least. It just gets worse. The Royal British Legion has launched an investigation into stunt, which it deemed entirely inappropriate.
Right. So basically, nobody officially endorsed this. This was two vigilantes, Rob.
Yeah. But surely you would have asked the Royal British Legion.
On that, Rob, before you finish this story, we've just talked about vigilantism. We haven't commented on it, but can I just comment, Rob, on the Carl Rittenhouse saga that happened in the United States? Not to mention the fact that one of the things his defense did was avoid the judge looking at an iPad by claiming that when you zoom in on an iPad, Apple alters the algorithms and make things appear that don't actually exist.
What?
You must have heard about it. Did you not hear about that?
No.
Oh, that was one. That broke the internet, Rob. That might have been when you were unwell. I can't remember. Very unwell. So basically, his defense team, basically, when the prosecutors wanted to show an image of everything that was going on that evening of an iPad, yeah, when they just tried to zoom in on the video to make it full screen, the defense blocked the prosecution doing that, claiming that that Apple used algorithms, but he didn't pronounce the word algorithms correctly. He pronounced it in a very odd way. Used algorithms that whenever you pinched a zoom in a video, it made things appear that were not actually there and was only Apple's interpretation of what happened and not the real image. And therefore, the video is inadmissible. And the judge said, okay, fine, and just bought it.
What the fuck? Why would you not challenge that?
Well, anyway, right? So there's that. But I just want to talk about the Carl Rittenhouse thing just quickly. What a terrifying society is this, Rob? We're talking about the United States.
Yeah.
Where you can basically, as an underage young man, 17, not licensed because of your age to hold that firearm, go out. But okay, there's looting or whatever you think it is in your local area, and you decide to go out and play vigilante with an assault rifle or whatever it was he had. But it wasn't some small gun. It was a proper weapon.
Yeah.
And then when you get embroiled in trouble and start shooting people, do you then get acquitted of all charges? I mean, can you imagine a scenario, Rob, where let's say there was a riot in I don't know, Hampstead. The kind
it's a nice idea.
Yeah. Okay, there's a riot in Finchley, North London, and I turn up there with an assault rifle, or let's say a knife, which I'm not permitted to have in this country, or a gun. And then shit goes down and I end up killing 4 people. How the fuck am I getting off from that? How the fuck am I being told acquitted of all charges? What kind of society is this?
I think it happened in Wisconsin. Is that right?
Yes.
And I think it's something about their state's legislation.
They have a right to just wander around with farms. But he didn't have a right, Rob, because he was 17.
Yeah, I know. I mean, in some ways, I think in any other country in the world, he would have been sent down for murder. I am at a loss as to how he's been acquitted. And also, days after he was acquitted, he's pictured standing next to that fucking arsehole Trump. I mean, What else do you need to know? By who they refer to him as a nice young man. He shot 2 innocent bystanders. Regardless of whether he was acquitted.
4, wasn't it 4? I thought it was 4.
I thought it was 2.
I thought it was 4. Well, I don't know. Well, I think he shot 4 but killed 2. Anyway, Rob, we're getting distracted. We're already on half an hour of this podcast.
Yeah, all right, okay. Back to the story about the tank. A villager said you could have written it. It was like something out of Dad's Diary.
Or Last of the Summer Wine.
Yeah, absolutely. Residents have been told there was a surprise, and they're all guessing what it could be. Suddenly, I was told it had demolished the gates to the Memorial Gardens. So Fern and Langdon hired the tank, which cost £950 per day, and appeared out the turret to drive to the minute silence. According to the village.
So hang on, is he driving it during the minute silence?
He was. They were driving en route to the minute silence, not during. Thankfully, I think that would have been unbelievably disrespectful.
What is wrong with these people?
So, according to a villager, the vehicle was parked close to the entrance to the Memorial Gardens before it rolled into the stone and metal gates. One villager said they were waving and laughing as they drove through the village. When they parked, I think they left the handbrake off and it went crashing into the gate post of the Memorial Gardens. Or they could put it in reverse. I'm not sure what happened. I mean, Alex, I don't think you need it anymore. It's just hilarious.
Rob, can I say, I just want to give you kudos for finding this story. That is one of my favourite stories we've featured in a while. That is an absolutely extraordinary story, Rob. And also, Face of Strange, you're one of our long-time listeners. You've mocked us up some artwork before. If you fancy mocking up a fake website, either Rent a Wank or Lend a Hand.co.uk, we would love to see your artist's impression of what that would look like.
Absolutely. I think that would be top notch.
Okay, Rob. And now this. Local Anaesthetic Podcast is now on Patreon, so sign up now to receive exclusive LA Podcast and extra jab bonus episodes to your inbox every month. These can't be found anywhere else, and if you want to hear them, go to patreon.com/LA Podcast Extra. That's patreon.com/LA Podcast Extra. It's more of that local anaesthetic goodness you know and love. More stories about stupid people doing stupid things.
Man buried as hole he dug collapsed on Fistraw Beach in Newquay.
He's alive, right? Please tell me he's alive.
Oh.
More stupid people doing more stupid things. Tiddlywink stuck up Christchurch woman's nose for 37 years. Have you never stuck anything up your nose before, Rob?
Well, sure, marbles, I think. Marbles, but everyone stuck a marble at their nose.
Of course you had marbles. Marbles were the perfect toy for you as a child, Rob, because they're strong and they're resilient and they're cheap. Even more stupid people doing even more stupid things.
RSPCA launched investigation after mutilated sheep stuffed into Salvation Army charity bin.
Oh, God.
Officers from the RSPCA were alerted to what they first believed to be the body of a dog. They took the body back to the lab, and then 3 weeks later they found it was a sheep and not a dog.
For a time, Rob, they thought it was a sheepdog, but the confusion was cleared up, and it is in fact a sheep, not a dog, not a sheepdog.
Exactly.
And of course, the strangest news stories you've ever heard, like Special Ops forces in the United States being attacked by a ninja. It's unclear, Rob, from the records whether the man was an actual practitioner of ninjutsu.
Maybe it was Liam Neeson.
Okay, Rob, it is time for our listener story of the week. But as I'm down in Dorset and, you know, kind of going through a sort of emergency with my eyes, I have to admit I forgot to bring the purple rod in my packing. I know this.
What a surprise!
Great. Yeah, I mean, I could make up for it by doing 2 next episode, 2 ditties, or I could just.
Alex, there's really no need for. Right.
I'll do that. I'll do 2 back to back next episode, next regular LA. If anybody, just so people know, anybody who subscribes to our Patreon episodes, our bonus episodes that are released 2 every month, that you've just heard there on the advert, there is no recorder on there. Because I don't want people to sign up, Rob, anticipating that they're going to hear me play the recorder, only to be disappointed that it's not on there. I wonder if we should start featuring it. You know? No,
Alex, I think that's why people are signing up.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah. So this is from Steve. It goes back. It's to the 16th of October by Chloe Parkman. It is from the Devon Live website. Now, look, from the off, I have to be honest, okay? This is a UFO story, but it doesn't feature one key man, which is astonishing, because you think it would.
John Mooner. Rob and I have recovered many, many stories over the years by an insane man based in the UK called John Mooner, who runs his own UFO website and has had lots of strange dalliances with UFOs and aliens that he believes have legitimately happened. He doesn't feature here, Rob. That's a surprise, but also a welcome relief, because I was getting a bit of Mooner fatigue.
I know what you mean, yeah. I mean, I'm also sad that we haven't brought his book yet. I must admit, we did say we were going to do that, and I think we should still keep that on the back burner.
I'd forgotten all about it, yes. Let's get it as a Christmas present for ourselves.
Lovely. Okay, headline. Plymouth man left baffled after capturing UFO on camera.
Right. They're always baffled.
Standard fare. So a man from Plymouth said he's been left baffled after spotting a strange bright object in the sky.
Right, the sun, the moon, stars, Venus, Mars, it could have been many things. A plane.
Yeah. This particular UFO was seen above the Central Park area on Thursday night, October the 14th, and the resident Gordon Porter claims it was spinning in circles. So this is new.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Gordon said there was a static red light which turned into a bright white light that seemed to be scanning left and right, or even spinning in circles. It's either one or the two, isn't it? It's either going left or right or spinning in circles. Those two are very different things.
No, maybe it was doing different things at different times, Rob. This is highly advanced engineering.
That's true. Now, this is where this man, whose name is, did I say that? Joseph Gordon? No, first name was Gordon, then yes. It says full name is Gordon Porter. There we go. Now, this is where I think this is where it distinguishes him between amateur and professional. So he said, "I'm not sure if I would call it UFO, but my flight radar tracker said there was no helicopters up or visible on the app." So he's got this little piece of equipment that tells you if there's any sort of aircraft in the locale.
Now, Rob, you know how you are interested in trains? There are obviously people out there who are very interested in sort of aircraft, and there are lots of apps like where you can literally track flights and see their flight paths and everything. People are fascinated by it. I remember in the early days of the iPhone, the original iPhone, seeing a guy on a train platform, and he was very immersed in an app where he was tracking flights and looking at their flight paths, and I was very impressed by the look of the app. Thought I might like to download that, and I thought, Alex, why? What are you going to use it for? Rob, would you like an app that kind of, I don't know, tracked? I mean, I'm sure there is one. I mean, obviously you can track train timetables, but I mean, actually showed you trains sort of moving across a map, how they were doing. Would you like that? Would that be something you find quite immersive?
Well, Alex, it's funny you should mention that. So TfL actually have, well, it's not an official TfL product, but there is actually a fantastic website that gives you live TfL underground movements. So you can literally see.
Sorry. TfL underground movements. Is that a fetish website run by Sadiq? Is that a fetish website run by Sadiq Khan? If it is, Face of Strange, we've got another project for you. TfL's underground movements. I'll leave the rest up to your imagination.
No, it's not that. But if anyone is, I'm a bit of a London Underground nerd, and it literally shows you the position of every tube train on the network at any one time.
If I were to give you a line, would you be able to tell me like the order of the stops?
Alex, I can't tell you how long I've been waiting for you to ask that question.
Really? Okay. Well, anyway, we are coming to time, so.
Oh, what?
No, I'm only kidding. It depends on the line. What lines do you know?
I know all of the Circle. District past Whitechapel is a bit of a challenge. I'm not too.
Okay, so Rob, what we're going to do is on a future episode, as we get up to Christmas, I'm going to test you. So I want you to start boning up, and I'm going to test you on your knowledge of the London Underground. It'll be a new feature called Rob's Underground Movements. There you go. I'll do a nice jingle for it and everything.
Perfect. I think I would be good on the entirety of the Victoria line, the entirety of the Circle line.
No, you're going to leave me. You're going to leave me, and you're going to have to do your research. But Rob, the other thing is, when we do it, it'll be a nice 5-minute segment. We'll start doing it as a feature, and we'll also find out if you've got any amusing stories about any of the stops. Okay?
Okay. Sounds good. Right, back to
Rob's Underground Movements.
I mean, a feature worth tuning in for, hopefully. So, in the video, the UFO can be seen shining an incredibly bright light over the city, almost as if someone or something. Almost as if looking for someone or something. And it's not the first time a sighting of this kind has been spotted in Plymouth. Early this year, one resident was left confused after spotting an alien floating above this property. I haven't looked at
an alien?
I haven't looked at the story yet. I just realised there's a hyperlink. How did I look at this? Sorry, listeners.
Let's follow the link, Rob. Come on, let's follow the link.
Okay. Right. Do you know what? I will save that for a future episode. That's hilarious.
Do you know what? Let's stick it on the Patreon for this week, Rob.
Okay. Just going back to the original commenter, the object that I think he may have mistaken for a UFO may have been the moon, but that's okay. Alex,
Rob, hang on a minute. The moon does. Hang on a minute, Rob. No. I'm somebody who's seen a UFO in the past, right? And it was definitely not anything from this Earth. Or it wasn't a planet, and we've talked about this ad nauseum. Right? I have actually genuinely seen one, so I don't discount people. Why are you just saying it's the moon when he told you it was span round and round and round? The moon doesn't do that, Rob.
Alex, I'm watching the
video
now.
Yeah, okay.
And
there's a video of it.
There's a video. Yeah, there's a video. Now I'm not sure it's. Oh.
Rob, are you watching porn again?
Oh, I'm sorry. Right, okay. Let me watch the video instead. No, Alex, it's not the moon. He's absolutely right. The light is tracking from side to side. So I'm going to update my hypothesis. It's the police helicopter, which over the streets of Plymouth probably happens quite often.
Could it be the moon and he's just moving his phone from side to side?
No. You can see the light. The light goes out and then starts clearly, visibly scoping across the horizon.
That's a police helicopter, which is why it wasn't on your flight tracker, mate. For God's sake.
Yeah. That would make sense, yeah.
Right, well, on that absolutely critical bombshell, Rob, we bring this episode of the regular LA to a close. We can be found on our website, LAPodcast.net. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/LAPodcast. We're on Twitter at LAPodcast. We're on Spotify. And of course, most importantly, we're on Patreon, patreon.com/LAPodcast Extra, where you can sign up to become a member of LA Podcast and you will get 2 extra episodes. They're called an extra jab. 2 extra episodes every month delivered to your inbox. There are already 9 on there, aren't there, Rob? So if you sign up, It's £2 a month. If you sign up now, you've already got access to 9 corking episodes. And of course, if you want to submit a story and be featured on this podcast, it'll either be on the Patreon episodes, the extra jab episodes, or these regular ones. Just send it to us, lapodcast.net@gmail.com. That's lapodcast.net@gmail.com. And yes, please do head over to Patreon. The next Patreon episode is going to be episode 10, Rob, and we've already promised we will feature this strange story about a man seeing an alien floating above his house, but we've got some great stories for the Patreon this week, Rob. Absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to doing that with you later this week. But yes, thank you very much for listening, everybody. We will be back, as I say. What's it going to be? Episode 350? The next
350, yeah.
Yes, we do look forward with a mixture of eager anticipation yet trepidation to that as we move ever more forward. Rob, I thought I'd forgotten to do this, Rob, but as we move ever more forward, like a tank? Something to do with the tank?
Yeah, that'll work, yep. Like a tank that someone realises they haven't put in, or at least left the handbrake off, slowly rolling towards the memorial gardens of a war memorial, only to leave it in devastation, just like that.
We move ever more forward to our next episode, which, as I say, will be episode 350. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. We've really enjoyed your company as always. Head on over to Patreon, join us there, sign up there. We'd love to have you. God bless.
And keep it local.